This is the quarterfinals to the Haven Games Legacy Showdown Championship. If you're not familiar with what this is, my name is Aaron, and I record myself playing in tournaments I call the Magic Live series. And this one is a multiple part because it was a much longer tournament, so you can find the deck tech and the Swiss rounds links in the description. I will be on the right side. I am playing Blue-White Miracles, and my opponent, I believe, on the left side is playing Bant Snow. And what you're seeing down for the life totals, the number in the middle, is the game of the match that we're on. So we're on game one, and I was the lower seed going into the top 8, so I am on the draw. But with just some land go action, looks like not much has changed. In fact, it looks like, as far as I would know, my opponent is also playing Blue-White Miracles. But this deck is more popular. The Bant Snow deck is, I don't know if I'd say better. I mean, it probably is, but it's definitely more popular. But the only spell cast so far is a Ponder. So not a lot going on. Might seem like it's a little dull to watch, but these matchups are real intricate. A lot of fine point decisions make a big difference later in the game, and that's what makes Legacy fun for a lot of people. But as soon as you see a snow-covered forest, the jig is up. I mean, honestly, snow-covered island kind of gives it away. But here we have Ice Fang Quaddle, which is effectively just a flash Baleful Strix. The Death Touch won't be super relevant in this game, and the pokey damage is also not really all that relevant, though pressuring Planeswalkers definitely can be. And overall, the game will be a lot of land go grind action because it's, for the most part, a control mirror. Now, the deck I'm playing, the Blue-White Miracles, is a hard control deck, and usually in a control mirror, the harder control deck has a slight advantage. There are a lot of variables that can completely throw that off, though. Euro is a good way to close out the games, but Euro is pretty soft to Swords to Plowshares, so it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. My main plan of back to basics won't be quite as good against the Snow deck. They do play enough basics to get around it. My opponent is dropping a end of turn Brainstorm, which could mean several things. He may have been wanting to hold his mana up for something, potentially double blue for some kind of counterspell. So he didn't want to throw it out on his turn. Usually when someone is main phasing a Brainstorm, which happens a lot, it's because they're looking for something necessary for their main phase. Land drops, something like that. But my opponent is mostly just doing the tire spinning. While my opponent does have a 1/1 that's applying some pressure, it's pretty not great. Luckily for me, I've hit all my land drops. I've got my colors set up in the early game. So right now it's mostly going to be about matching my cards up against his and trying to stick some kind of permanent, a Planeswalker, that will generate a couple, at least one extra card, especially if we're going to fight over something with Force of Will. So here I'm doing an end step as well. I may have been holding up like a Force of Negation or a Spell Pierce. If I'm thinking to myself, okay, what kind of cards do I want to fill my hand with? I think obviously having at least one or two counters to fight over something important is good. But it's more about lining up your answers. So I'm thinking, okay, if he has Euro, I have Swords to Plowshares. Same with Stoneforge Mystic if he's playing that package. If he plays Jace the Mind Sculptor, I have Force Negation or Spell Pierce. Just things like that. Or if I want to let him play a couple of creatures like that are 2-drops, maybe I wait and do a Terminus and try to deal with the equipment later if that's something I have to think about. But noticing that my opponent obviously is a Ponder Brainstorm deck that isn't trying to hit me with a combo, at least I think that's a reasonable decision, seeing now that I see Snow Permanents and Ice Fang. I really want to find Narset Parter Veils, because I think that'll generate a huge amount of advantage with our cantrips. I suppose, given what I've seen in the Swiss round, there's a small chance he's playing Food Chain, but I think that chance is fairly small, especially because I see Flooded Strand there. So a Ponder suggests I'm still digging either for a protection piece like that Force of Will there, or for the Narset. I can't quite see what's in my hand, but I chose to keep that Force of Will, it looks like. And for the most part, our games are real similar. We've both had double fetch land, Ponder, and Brainstorm. And Instep Endurance here is good because it's pressure and it uses his mana. So anytime you're leaving your mana open as a control deck to maybe counter something, It's extra good that on the instep, if you end up not having to use your counter spell or removal spell, that you have something to spend your mana on. It's not the best use of resources to like land go, leave your mana tap for a counter spell. They pass and you just go to your untap step, never getting to use your mana. Not saying that's never correct, but like if you can use your mana, you should try to do it, all else being equal. Looks like he showed us his graveyard. He chose to shuffle his own cards back in his library. And man, that might be some serious respect for how long this game could go. But now he's got a decent clock. 4 power. I can't just let it hit me continually. I mean, it will win the game. So this might be required to Terminus, which would be just a 1-for-1 because the Ice Fang drew him a card. But obviously I can afford to take a few hits here. And what's good about him is he's kind of forcing me to use cards like Terminus in a matchup where I really want card draw and counter spells. So that's good playing by my opponent. He did find his tropical island. So, I mean, that makes me think, okay, maybe back to base is okay, but I don't really think that's what I want to be doing here. Alright, so here's our first Euro. And the question is, do you swords immediately, or do you let them put 4 mana into it? But I don't want them getting more cards, so I decided to go ahead and swords. Although it wouldn't be the worst because he did endurance himself, which I'm very interested in because I do play Snapcaster Mage, which is, I think, a card that's reasonable to suspect. And he wants cards in his graveyard for cards like Euro, so I don't know. It's interesting. I'm sure he has his reasons for it. But he just follows up with the Ponder and probably passed the turn. Down to 13 life, and my fetch lands do cost life. So that's something I'm going to have to keep in mind. I don't really have ways to gain life in the main board. The only thing I can think of is if I like make some angels with Entreat the Angels and I sword one of my own angels, like I guess that gains some life. That's not really what you want to be doing. I'm not above doing that if it means not losing, but that's not a good use of your cards. Whoa, hit a button on the life totals there. So do I get second plains or do I get third island? Usually, especially in game 1, you get third island first because that helps turn on Mystic Sanctuary faster. Whether Mystic Sanctuary is going to be needed early in the game or not, I don't know, but I'm going to guess no. So it looks like I'm just shuffling away the last 2 cards from the Brainstorm, which I believe were a land and a Swords to Plowshares. Swords wouldn't be terrible here because swordsing the endurance radically reduces his clock. But I really want to find Narset because it'll... I mean, I guess the best find would be Teferi into Narset or something like that. So this seems like a Teferi here. Yes, okay. So if this resolves, I think that puts me far ahead because I can just do anything with impunity. And my counterspells get a lot better as well. Looks like it resolves. I go ahead and immediately plus it to keep it obviously out of attack range. So even if I bounce this 3 power creature, Teferi goes to 1 loyalty. Here though, here's where he can do... This is where Bant has some strengths. Prismatic Ending, very good card. However, I did keep a Force of Will off of one of my cantrip cards. And he can't fight back. So I force pitch Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce not looking so good here. This is a card I debated over for a while if I should have 1 or 2 in the deck. I ended up on 2 and 2 Force, 2 Spell Pierce instead of 3 Force, 1 Spell Pierce, referring to Force of Negation. I ended up on the 2 Spell Pierce. I do still think it's correct, but honestly, it's been situations like this where Spell Pierce just isn't that good. But that's the good part about it, especially in a deck like this, is you can pitch it to your other cards, you can put it back with your Brainstorms. Like you got things you can do. But as far as mana goes, he's good on lands. He's got plenty of the lands. Alright, looks like he is ignoring Teferi and just going straight for me. Which I understand because now, after this hit, it's a 2-turn clock. And he demands an answer. The good news is if I do need to bounce a creature, Teferi will be at 2 loyalty, and he can't re-flash the endurance back in on the instep. So that's some insurance, buys a lot of time. Jace here is annoying because I had to use Force to protect my Teferi. And this is probably intentional by my opponent. He's probably like, well, I am going to win by combat power, like winning through combat faster in the game and earlier in the game. So I just want to keep a Jace alive. So he has big Planeswalker die. I decided to use it, but honestly, for the camera's sake, it's not quite as easy to tell. But Teferi's at 5 right now. But whether or not that Prismatic Ending was bait, I don't know, but it would have been a good play if this was on purpose. It was like, okay, I expect the counter here, resolve Jace. However, if I find Narset, Jace gets much worse because it turns off Brainstorm, finds me spells. So best case scenario would be Teferi into some other kind of answer. I'm sorry, Narset into some other kind of answer. And hold up a counter for like his next important spell. Deal with his creatures a turn later. But it looks like I just find my own Jace. This is also okay. So we have dueling Jaces. I have Teferi. Teferi won't die next turn unless he finds Prismatic Ending. See, back to basics. Brainstorm and a white. What's that white card? Entreat the Angels. So Entreat the Angels is a card I want to keep around probably. There's also a Terminus there. So I can put the 2 miracles on top. I don't know if I have a land in my hand. It looks like I do. So I can put the miracles on top. I have the ability... let me think. He's going to get another Brainstorm with Jace, which is kind of bad. He could also Fate Seal me if he senses the miracle, which would be an interesting play. Like, what would I do here? Would I fetch in response? So I just let it happen? I don't know. This is one scenario where I think having 1 Tundra in the deck would be good because I can make double white with this Polluted Delta. He decides where to send the attack. I think I agree. Going at Jace is probably right. But he still has this Flash Endurance, so this Terminus won't look so good. Oh no, I'm sorry. I have a Teferi. He does not have Flash Endurance, so another reason just to like Teferi more. This Jace, though, is going to get him some extra cards, and my best way to beat him is to run him out of cards. So I really need to find Narset. I think Narset will be the deciding factor in this game. And the fact that my opponent has Prismatic Ending is a really big plus on his end because he can take care of those 3 drop Planeswalkers. Now, luckily, he does not have a third color that I know of. I mean, he could be playing like 1 Volcanic Island, but you're usually not needing to deal with 4-mana permanents like that in Legacy. But then again, Jace is also very strong. See, like these Ponders and Jace Brainstorms would all just be shut off if I could just find that Narset. So, as is, I don't want to say there's a clear winner, like advantage bar. I might want to lean it on my side. I guess for your viewing, it's over here. On my side, just a little because I have Teferi. But he has a pretty big life total advantage. My life is getting low. I don't really have ways to gain life, and he has an active Jace, so it's I wouldn't blame someone for thinking the Bant player is in the lead. The Bant player also has more ways to close the game out. Alright, this is, I think it's called Abundant Harvest. You name land or non-land and flip until you hit one. And he hit Sylvan Library, which is not something I usually want to see, but if I can find that Narset, I don't care about none of this. So if I have a counter spell, I'll hold that for something later if I know I have a Narset coming or Narset in my hand. I don't remember what happens here. It looks like it resolved. So, I mean, that's got to mean I have a Narset in my hand, right? Maybe I just don't have any counter spells. I don't know. The question is, if I have Narset in my hand, why wouldn't I have played it last turn? I guess I thought the Jace was more valuable. Alright, Boke's Teferi down to 2. So Teferi was at 3 because I plussed it last turn from 2. So 3 to 2, still pretty safe from this Ice Fang. He's trying to decide if he wants to play his Endurance again. Alright, he's going to go for another Prismatic Ending. This would definitely be worth countering. I don't know if I have one because I probably would have countered Sylvan Library, but maybe I'm thinking, well, he already has Jace, so Sylvan Library is not really as much of a threat. But with how much life he has, Sylvan Library can draw a lot of cards. So if I end up having the counter spell here, ooh, am I gonna fetch? Wow, a Spell Pierce here would be good. So maybe Spell Pierce ain't so bad. So shuffling away the miracles. The Terminus isn't really needed anymore, but I do think having that Entreat would be nice. Oh, okay, I have a Brainstorm. So I don't think I have a counterspell, so if I Brainstorm into one. But that does mean Pierce is off the table because my other mana source is a basic Plains. I definitely want to counter this if I can because, oh, it's pretty strong. I can put Force of Will back on top of my deck, then cast Brainstorm. Pretty strong. Pretty strong. It almost, I almost look like I'm good at this game. Alright, so unfortunately I know about it in terms of playing, but there's this huge glare zone. You can see it right in this section. So most of my cards, especially my permanents and lands, I keep out of this section, but when I put some on the stack, sometimes I'm not thinking about it as much. So I cast the Brainstorm, I'm exiling some blue card. I think that's either Back to Basics or Portent. Can't quite tell. Both cards are not all that great, so I don't blame myself. So Teferi successfully protected. Now we just need to find a Narset to close this game out. And between Jace and I think I saw a Snapcaster Mage, I have a decent chance of finding it, but I need to find it this turn because he's got a lot of card drawing stuff. There it is. We did it, boys. So Narset hits the battlefield, and I'm feeling real good at this point. I've got my Mystic Sanctuary, and if I find a Deprive and I deal with the last creature, like I can just soft lock him out. So that's some really cool tech out there. Oh, there's Deprive. Awesome. I have to take it here, right? So revealing Deprive really puts a what would you call a pretty good cap on the game. I think I've got a clear. Oh, I know I've got it all. So I've got the Geier reach to run him out of cards. I've got the Jace to eventually win the game, but it's really just going to generate cards. Narset turns off his engines. So really right now I've got all those, so I just need to make sure I have answers lined up for creatures to pressure these planeswalkers. But none of them are within death range right now. I point out, I'm like, you don't, this ability just doesn't work. Like, you don't, it's not that you get a choice to do it and then life can't pay the life. You just can't draw the extra cards. It's not like look at the top three and put them back. It's like you actually have to draw them, and then it's a really old templated card. So it's like the cards you drew, you put 2 back and let's pay 4 life. Just doesn't work with Narset. So he pluses the Jace because he can't do anything else. I have assembled the trifecta. This is the lock. So for every card, for every answer, however you want to say it, I don't have to spend mana on, is a card he's going to lose. And then once he gets down to 1 card or no cards, I'm just going to draw step him out of the game. I go ahead and use the Swords to Plowshares here. I don't know how I feel about that because I know he has Endurance in his hand. But I have the Deprive, so I guess it doesn't matter. I could also just let this happen, get 1 more card out of his hand, and try to deal with it the next turn. I think I have Snapcaster in my hand, so I can Snap Swords it. He shuffles his own cards back in again. I guess he's just really respecting the long game. Okay, there's another Ice Fang. It does not draw a card. So I don't care about Ice Fang for sure. Yeah, I didn't deprive anything. So I'm just like, okay, you discard, I draw and discard. So I'm taking his last card out of his hand, which is Force of Will. Pretty bad card here. I discard a Portent. Not a great card here. So as long as I can deal with his creatures, the game is locked. Like, I've got the hard lock. I do have to eventually answer Jace. Like, Jace will just ultimate if I let him keep ticking up. So Narset's going to dig deep. I guess, what do I want here? I guess I want to probably take Force of Negation, just another counter spell. Or maybe I take, what was that other card? Was it a Portent? Portent might not be terrible in terms of setting up. Okay, I do take the Force. I actually kind of want a... so I'm brainstorming Jace. I do kind of want something to protect Narset here. I do have an extra Narset in my hand, I suppose. It looks like I might be putting it back. If I've already got a plan lined up, okay, I deal with this card this way and this card this way. So if I have Snap in my hand... So I've got the top of his library dealt with. I've got the card draw dealt with if I protect Narset. So I'm telling him I'm going to stop him on it. Look, I'm reaching for the Geier reach. So I'm like, stop you on your draw step. You discard that card. I draw and discard. I have a Spell Pierce, which is terrible. I discard a Brainstorm. I don't like that. I have a Spell Pierce in my hand, and I should have discarded the Spell Pierce. Brainstorm can find swords and Entreat the Angels. Why would I discard a Brainstorm? My library might be getting low. I don't know. I think that was a mistake. I'm not sure what I was thinking in the moment. So he sends his creatures. I didn't quite see which he's sending him at, but probably relevant enough. I am also at 6 life, so if he just sends them at me, that's one more fetch land. Hands on thighs, thinking like, well, there's a lot of options. I've got cards in my hand. I got some tools. It's like, did I set this card on top of my library correct? Why would I discard a Brainstorm? I just don't get it. I guess I'll fetchable lands left. I don't know. I don't know why I'd do that. Alright, so he's sending one at Teferi, and the other one's got to be at Narset, right? I guess, or Jace. I don't know. There's Snapcaster Mage. So it's probably hitting a Swords. I don't know. If he's sending one at Teferi while Teferi's at 4, yeah, that's easy, right? I just Swords the big guy. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that play there. And now he can take 2 points off of his Jace. So that seems really good. I don't know. I'm still kind of beating myself up over discarding that Brainstorm there when I have a freaking Spell Pierce in my hand. Alright. At this point, actually, counters aren't really useful at all because I've got cards in his hand dealt with. Now I need to deal with the battlefield. So literally, if I can just answer the Ice Fang, Narset stays in play. The Snapcaster deals with Jace, and the game's over. So do I find a Swords? I am fetching here, so I'm guessing I don't. Another thing I could do, I could take a chance, bounce the Ice Fang to his hand, make him discard it. Or no, he wouldn't discard it because he hasn't drawn a card this turn. Alright, never mind, that doesn't work. It only works on their turn. Okay, here's Ponder. Ponder's probably digging for Swords or Terminus or something. Alright. I do not see it, so it's an easy shuffle. I don't know. I'm still really annoyed over that Brainstorm play. I wonder if it was like just the equivalent of a misclick, like I accidentally just grabbed the wrong card, but like that's a much less excusable mistake than a misclick on Magic Online. I think I was just thinking something else in my head, thinking, oh, those more counters is good, but cards in hand are dealt with. Alright, a second Narset. I don't mind this play so much because it digs me so deep. Even though it is kind of throwing it away on the off chance I brick a few turns and he finds an answer. Alright, Ponder, Land, Terminus, Force of Will. Okay, so I definitely want the Ponder or the Terminus. I take the Terminus. This is fine because even if I can't set it up this turn, I can set it next turn, and now all my Planeswalkers are not in the range of the Ice Fang. So he may not realize it, but the game is over here. So I'm just going to make him discard his card. I draw a Predict. It's not a bad draw. I discard Force of Negation, which I could have just discarded that a turn ago. Kept the Brainstorm. So he Fate Seals me. I don't think I know my top card. I've shuffled, right? I don't remember. Not really relevant though, because I can Terminus on his turn with the Geier Reach. And I found, I think, another Snapcaster Mage. Wow. But the reason he's not scooping yet is because, as far as he knows, he's not, like, the Jace is still there. It's like if I Terminus, my Snapcaster goes away too, and Jace can just keep ticking up. But we have another Snap in our hand, so that should do it. He leaves the Ice Fang back. I bounce his guy? No? I hope I don't do that. No, I just passed the turn. I actually like attacking with Snapcaster there. So Predict draws me 2 cards, first of which is Terminus. And I draw the second card after revealing the Terminus. My stack is the Glare Zone for some reason. I wish I knew better. I do cast it, so I dealt with the last creature, make him discard his card. Alright, so now I've got it fully locked down. Now I just have to deal with the Jace by putting a Snapcaster in play. There's no real point in ticking Jace up because I've got him locked out. Like, he can't do anything with the spells. So it's just about dealing with his Jace, and then eventually I find like an Entreat or just beat him down with a Snapcaster for 6 turns. Or I guess it'd be 15 turns. So I cast Snapcaster Mage. He should just scoop here, yeah. So he scoops here, and that is the end of game 1. I will go ahead and skip over the sideboarding to game 2. In game 2, I don't really remember if... yeah, so it looks like I'm mulligan. There's a lot more sideboard card pieces that are important, so specific cards are a little bit more relevant, especially now that I know what he's playing, than it would be in game 1, which is usually just a combination of spells and lands that are efficient. But I mulligan, maybe it was a 1-lander, I don't know. I am pretty likely to keep a 1-lander with the Ponder Brainstorm in Legacy, or it could have been a very low spell hand. But even that, like if you have 1 or 2 Brainstorms or something, you can put the lands back. Legacy and Brainstorm are just so much fun. Like that's what makes the format worth playing, in my opinion. Like when you cast that card, you're just like, yes. But yeah, it looks like I am taking a mulligan. It's mulligan number 1. Okay, it looks like we both kept our first mulligan. I believe we both mulligan. And second verse, same as the first. Just some lane go action. Not much to speak about here. Yes, good. I moved it out of the glare zone. I'm trying to think of cards my opponent may have sideboard. With green mana, he's likely to have Carpet of Flowers. I don't have to worry about cards like Choke because he's a blue deck too. Blue, let's see. Blue, white, and green. So he could have Veil of Summer. That's a card I really have to respect. Of course, if I go for my strategy that I went for game 1, and I can keep a Teferi in play, I won't have to worry that much about Veil. And that's another thing, blue decks battling each other, like control blue decks. How many cards you have in your deck that are bad against Teferi with it being in play, like reactive cards. You really have to make sure you answer it, because if that Teferi resolves, your hand's like Force of Will, Spell Pierce, and Veil Summer just are blanks. It's not like, oh, I play them at Sorcery Speed. They just don't do anything. So that's a really interesting thing to think about. And that's true for my deck too. My deck actually would have quite a few dead cards. At least the counter spells would all be unplayable. And I can't really afford to go down on counter spells against another blue deck. So that is interesting. I announced Ponder and then revealed a Flusterstorm, so the jig is up. Or was that like super next level? It's like, okay, if he plays around this, that could buy me time. No, I think it was purely a mistake. Like, it was just a grab mistake. So that's another interesting thing. You can't actually make that misclick on Magic Online because there's no way to put it on the stack. So that was like just free information for him. Is it going to make a difference in the game? Probably not. But it's things you don't want to... Just mechanical things, like the way you shuffle, the way you move your cards and tap your cards. And like, those things matter. Especially the more competitive you're getting, the more important it is that you have high precision with your hands and how you both interact with your cards and your opponent's cards. I'll probably actually do a video on something like that. My land is in the glare zone there. I think it is a plains or a fetch land. So I think it might be a Flooded Strand. I can't really tell. But this game looks pretty similar to the first game. He gets the same 2 early creatures. The pressure is important. Kind of like puts pressure on me to do something about it. If I am him, other than like Ponders or something, I kind of like doing nothing. I like just like make me do something. Just, okay, here are my things. I'm going to draw cards and sculpt my hand. Can you answer what I have? What is Instep Shark Typhoon? Kind of sucks because I can't counter that. and it puts 2 more power into play. So that I like, spending mana on that. But like, for example, I wouldn't spend mana on Jace. I wouldn't spend mana on, I guess Euro's okay, but like, make me answer what's in play, you know. Interesting question is Carpet Flowers. So if he does have that, is it worth investing 1 mana into? I don't know. I kind of like making me use resources first before you try to do that, or Sylvan Library. But this is an attack for 5/6. Still a 3-turn clock. And I'm trying to decide if I want to do something. So I cast Swords to Plowshares, probably just targeting Endurance. Nope. Target the Shark token? Why would I want to do that over the Endurance? Because it's flying? Maybe it's because it's flying and I can block. I don't know. Do I just have double swords here? Nope, just take the damage. That's weird. That's a weird play. Okay, there is Sylvan Library. This would be worth fighting over unless I either have Narset or I'm just really wanting to find Narset first. Why would I not Swords the 3-power creature? I don't know. It's possible that's another mistake. I feel like I make a mistake every game I play. And I'm not just saying that like, oh, I'm bad at Magic, which maybe I am. But, okay, so I don't have the Narset, and I clearly respect the Sylvan Library here. Looks like this might be a fight. So here's Counterspell. He just lets it happen. The question is that a bluff, or is he just wanting to protect his Counterspell for like a Terminus? I don't know. See, it's 3 turns no matter what. Wait, it's 3 turns with the Endurance. So if I would have taken that out, that would have hit me for 3. It would have been 4 turns. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what possible good reason I could have had for plowing the Shark token. So, I don't know. I'm going to just say it was a mistake. But let me know what you think, like what possible lines I was thinking of. Because even if I have like a Teferi or something, bouncing the token is better. Okay, maybe that's the answer. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking, okay, I can just chump block the Endurance. Okay, that must have been what it was. Now, whether that... I still don't know if I like that. Maybe I like that. I don't know. If I thought Elspeth was going to resolve, and I was going to be like, okay, if I'm thinking more long term, Elspeth will just kind of keep recurring, unless he has more Endurance, and the tokens can't block the Flying Shark token. I still don't know if that's correct to try to like go plow the token, put Elspeth into play. Like, I think maybe I should try to find Terminus, but it's also possible that I just didn't have anything else going on because I did mulligan to 6. So, like, let's say I had nothing else going on, then I think the Swordsing the token is the correct play. So Elspeth here is one grindy girl. She is going to generate a little bit of incremental advantage. And if I can stay alive, and the life gain can matter too. Now, Carpet Flowers is strong, so I do have 2 islands. That's just going to be 2 mana for him every turn. It's extra in his main phases. But if I want to make this a battle of cards, I can just ignore the Carpet Flowers. I can't tell if my opponent has any... I think he has at least 1 or 2 cards left in his hand. But I can't tell if he does and they're off screen or if he's just out of cards. There is a long pause here. Not sure what we're pausing over. Was there a judge call? I don't know. Let me skip ahead. I'm afraid to skip ahead because I'm like, every time I do that, I miss something. There might be a judge call here. Hang on. Oh, okay. I don't know. So we've got a Prismatic Ending and a Force of Will. So Prismatic Ending, probably just targeting. So that's a good answer to Elspeth. It can't escape back later. So he attacks. He attacks me with both creatures. I chump block the 3 power. So the plan is working. If I had 6 mana here, I like gaining life than escaping her and making tokens. But I won't have 6 mana because of the Deprive. I attack. I guess there's no reason not to. Yeah, there's no reason not to. Make 2 more guys. Okay, he has 2 cards left in his hand, so I was right about that. I do still have all my mana, and I have a land drop to make. Jace is good here. Just finding more answers. Ooh, land too. That's nice. So what is that? I do still have a Flusterstorm floating around, but Flusterstorm's looking much worse with that Carpet of Flowers and just him not having a lot of cards left. So it wouldn't be the worst to get rid of one. But it is also just a strong counterspell if we fight, because I don't have Teferi right now. But this very much is a Planeswalker control game. So Force of Negation is a good answer. What 2 cards are there? Swords and a Flusterstorm are the cards I'm considering. Also, I have 2 Flusterstorms. I'm not so sure I like Flusterstorm here. I guess it's good at countering a... it's okay at countering a Prismatic Ending, I guess. So if he'd have 3 or 4 mana for a Prismatic Ending, I guess it would have to be 3. Oh, okay, so I was actually about to say, hey, how did he Prismatic Ending targeting the Elspeth? But Carpet of Flowers can make any color. So you can make like red mana. That's your 4th color. That's pretty cool. Okay, so as they are right now, I think I'm ahead. I'm low on life, but the Elspeth's grindy ability is just going to eventually run away with the game if he doesn't eventually exile it in some way. If he can get it in the graveyard and flash an Endurance, that would be pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so he made 2 mana, at least one of them blue. I don't know if they have to be the same color. I'm not going to look it up, but pretty good in terms of mana. Okay, I see land. I think that's a Force of Will and another card. Couldn't quite tell. I do think Prismatic Ending is pretty strong in Legacy. It's not the most efficient though, so that is the downside. Legacy efficiency, it's like the most important thing. Okay, finds a Euro. Euro is good. And if he has to land, he can bring it back. That's pretty strong. Really wish I had a Narset right about now. So if he brings Euro back, and I don't have an answer, I'm in big trouble. Although these tokens can chump Euro, the card advantage Euro will just be a little too much. Yep, that's an easy block. He does take down Elspeth. At this point, Elspeth's being on the battlefield wasn't that important. Like, he can pump some tokens, but it's not that important. So I know that there's a Euro hovering around. I've got a couple more turns of blocking left. And here we've got a Hull Breacher. It's interesting. Alright, so I had the Swords to Plowshares, and I do it on the Hull... Oh, he Hull Breachered in response to a Jace Brainstorm. Ooh, definitely had to Swords that. I was probably holding that Swords for the Euro. Actually, I think that was on top of my library from the Brainstorm. So if I land, Force of Will... Looks like I'm putting back Flusterstorms. Yeah, those Flusterstorms are just looking bad. Like, when they're good, they're good. But this deck plays too many permanents for it to be good, I think. They're not actually that good in a defensive counter war over a permanent. So like if he's like counter and I counter back with a Flusterstorm and he has another one, he can just let Flusterstorm resolve all the copies and then counter again. I don't know. Maybe Flusterstorm's not so good here. Not a big fan of him having a Euro there. I have what? 1 card or 2 cards? Euro wouldn't bother me so much if I could find Narset. I could just chump block Euro maybe. Alright, so he's paying for his escape cost. I hope I have a Swords here because that is one broken boy. Looks like I do not. Him having a land is actually really good. It's like 1 less piece of action, because mana is not a problem for him. And I think he's getting low on cards. He's like down to 1 or 2. If I set Terminus up here, or find Terminus, that would be awesome. That could actually be something that Flusterstorms are good at protect. I'm pretty sure the top of my library is Flusterstorms. Alright, so easy jump block. Jace goes to 2. I've got a Elspeth in my graveyard, just kind of waiting. I do have to be respectful of Endurance, though. Just cast from his hand as a 3-power attacker, deals with my best piece of action. Down to 5 too. I'm like €1 hit from death. So if I do deal with Euro, I am not 1 hit. Oh, actually, I guess I am now because I fetched. So I have to deal with like pretty much everything. Okay, so I get swords back. It's an interesting. If I have a way to get another planes, that could work out, I guess, because I could bring Elspeth back. I don't know if that's right. I mean, it's like I take my chance in trying to find Terminus, or I know I get a swords back to deal with Euro. What did I find? I found one of those was Prismatic Vista, Island. I definitely like putting back Island. Makes the fetch lands better. I don't know. So I really have to. I still have 1 blocker left. Elspeth can gain 5. Swords Euro. I guess I kind of have a plan. I have some counter spells, so I like have some like safety, you know. So I do have enough mana to do all of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, here comes Elspeth. I have protection. The question is, do you make blockers or do you need to gain life? I kind of like gaining life. I don't know, maybe it's close. I can definitely, if I can untap with Elspeth, then I'm pretty solid, because I can like go gain life and make tokens in the same turn. It'll cost 6 mana, but it'll be worth it. Looks like I decided to make blockers. I definitely need to swords now. Yeah, I don't want to give him another draw step. Find more answers. Defensive answers. Ooh, 3 life. I am 1 endurance hit from death. An in-step endurance would be annoying by getting rid of my cards for Elspeth escaping, but they are blockable. So this is where the tokens are good, but gaining 5 is more than an endurance hit, so I think that's close. So if I gain 5 to 8, and he has an answer to a token, I might go to 1 if he has double endurance. Just hypotheticals. Okay, so he did have the other endurance. I definitely think he should target me. Which means, like, do I force this? I don't think I can afford to force of will this, because he's targeting himself again. Like, if he targets me, I can't escape Elspeth as easily, you know? But it does, it recycles his cards, but the odds of that mattering are so low. Like, the game would have to go so long. So just personally, I think if he targeted me with endurance, especially with this Elspeth, I would be actually in a pretty bad situation. I'd probably be forced to gain life. I mean, I would get the Elspeth back eventually, but I definitely couldn't double it in 1 turn, you know? But it's an interesting game. This is pretty close. I'm really close to death. He's got a nice cushion life total, so I definitely can't nickel and dime him down. He still has some cards in his hand. I haven't found Narset. His counter spells are still alive, but Elspeth is generating incremental advantage. He's going after my life total at this point. I guess that's fine. I don't know. I definitely don't want to return any of those endurances to his hand. Like, I need to find Terminus like now. Okay, here's Prismatic Ending, probably for 4. Well, I guess it has to be for 4. But what does he target, the Jace or the Elspeth? Targets the Jace. I do have the counterspell here. I don't know if I can afford it to be Force of Will, though, because I'm 2 life. I wouldn't be able to use any more fetch lands, so I could Force of Negation and pitch the Force of Will. Ooh, this is tight. I kind of need this Jace to survive. Alright, so I do Force of Negation, so that's at least 1 more fetch. Oh, he has his own Force of Will. Alright, so Jace is going to bite the dust here. And he ends with Abundant Harvest. Finds the Swords to Plowshares, not very good here. This is a close game, but it's starting to look bad for me. But that is his last card. So he's tapped out. So I need a big top. Oh. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow. So it looks like I'm going to gain that. Needed a miracle. I guess I gained 5 life with Elspeth. And I'm like, attack you. Just kidding. My guy's gone. But yeah, Elspeth versus the top of his library, basically. He has a Source Plowshares in his hand. If he bricks 1 or 2 turns, Elspeth will get me far enough ahead. Maybe if I can have a decent draw step. I'm by no means about to win this game because he's at 32 life. Elspeth is an okay clock, but it's not like an amazing clock. You know, it'll 6 a turn, maybe even 8. It's like 7 or 8. But it does give me some cushion. Gains me some life. Put some blockers in play. I saw this Planeswalker that's going to generate value. If he bricks another turn, I'm going to gain another 5 and make another. Okay, so he does not brick. Probably his single best card here. Maybe Euro's actually his best draw. But Jace is really good. So I can at least pressure this Jace down. So if Jace doesn't. Oh, he has swords. That's true. So what Jace could do is plus, and then he would plow one of my tokens when I target it with a pump, I suppose. If he brainstorms, the Jace would die, unless he finds like double removal or something. And it depends on how greedy I am. So like if I go gain life, then bring it back, he could like counter it on the way back if he finds a counter. So there's a lot of dynamics happening here, but it's real close. Looks like Elspeth is holding me on to this game. He's really in the think tank on what to do with Jace. Like if he bounces a token, Jace is dead. Oh no. That could work. So if he bounce token, swords the token. I think I like that because it lets him untap with the Jace. And it seems like the safest route because I'm unlikely to be able to take Jace down on my next turn. So my next turn I would just go probably gain life, make tokens. Unless I find my own Jace or Narset, then I can just make tokens. Okay, he's going the other route. He's going plus. So this route works too. And so here are the pros and cons. So with this route, Jace ends up at higher loyalty. He can plow on the tokens. Jace goes to 2. Actually, I guess not. Well, and he gets information from me. So he gets the top card of my deck. And he's really thinking, If it's not it can't be a Planeswalker. Like, there's no way he sits in the tank over a Planeswalker. Unless maybe it's Teferi. Maybe Teferi's just too clunky at this point in the game. But anyway, if he does it the other way, if he goes down to 2 and bounces a token, a Swords token, I have no tokens left, so that's the pro of that. But I 100% attack his Jace for 6. Make him use his Swords to Plowshares here. Looks like he let me keep my card, which is not a good sign when I have no cards in my hand. I'm okay with swordsing now or when the ability's on the stack. It's kind of the same. I gain 1 life. Alright, what was that card? Man, we are in the grind city. I actually really like this in Legacy. Like, the dust settles, all our spells are thrown back, counter this, remove this. And we're both left with like 1 crucial resource left. Fun for me. I usually don't like grinding Magic, but I do like it with this format, with this deck. I like the grind elements I chose to pick. Like I chose Elspeth specifically to combat these fair decks. Looks like I'm going wide. What did I find though? Okay, so he knows my card. I think he pretty clearly brainstorms here. But what's like his best card? His best card, I guess, is Euro. Because then it finds another card. I haven't seen Stoneforge yet, so I'm starting to think he's not playing Stoneforge. So if he goes Euro, he uses 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we still have 2 mana left. And if he finds a land, you have 3 mana left. If he has 2 lands, he'd have 4 mana left, but probably no cards in his hand. Maybe 1 card. I'm in a comfortable position, but I'm not clearly winning yet. I think I'm 1 planeswalker away from winning. So if I find a Jace and he just bricks, I think I'm winning. And he's 1 clean answer from being ahead, I think. So he finds, if I just have nothing, if I have a blank in my hand, and he finds a prismatic ending, and he has like a red floating from his carpet of flowers, he casts prismatic ending. I lose the Elspeth forever. And I'm just way behind at that point. Okay, so he did find it. So Elspeth is gone. Things not looking so hot. So I need a big top deck here. So clearly what he left me from Jace is not a counterspell. Because that would have been a snap counter. Jace is at 4 loyalty, so this still doesn't kill him. Oh, and he has an endurance. That's bad. Okay, so now I have a Force of Will. Oh, we're at that point in the game. Hard cast Force of Will. The exiling, or the removing graveyard isn't so important anymore without the Elspeth. But, I mean, Elspeth really kind of kept me in this game for a couple of turns. Yeah, Jace still at 1. Try to remember what happens. It's actually been a while. I really don't remember. This is an intense game. I think my best top deck is like is a Narset into card, like into some other spell. So what's his best possible card here? I think Jace is just dead. I don't think he has a. I don't think he has a single card that gets him out of this. Because he just brainstormed, I think. Found a land. Alright, Jace dead. I send all 3. There's no reason to risk anything. His life total is not exactly important right now. So like an extra 1 or 2 damage toward him is just not worth whatever he might have. He's trying to pull them lands out of his deck. Don't blame him, because he has bricked a few turns. Any other big spell he could have had would have really closed this game out. Because I'm just down to nothing. Alright, what did he find? He just passes. Wow. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad. I guess that can't be too bad of a thing. We're at the point now where permanents matter. I send in my guys. Oh, Snapcaster's good. I'm probably just going to cast Ponder. Because nothing else to do, right? I think there's a Ponder. Right? Puts more power into play, I suppose. But alright, he's been sitting on a force. That's a good force. Ooh, Flusterstorm. The clutch Flusterstorm. That's unless you pay 3. And he only has 2. Worked out. Better than Spell Pierce. Alright, so Snapcaster just being a card is really good here. Like I can return. I think there's a Ponder. As long as Ponder and Brainstorm are both good here. And I still have 4 mana left. Wow. Yeah, it's a Ponder. I find, is that a Jace? Or is that a Narset? I think it's a Narset. Narset's also really strong here. That's going to turn off a big chunk of his top decks. Stops Euro, stops Ponder, Brainstorm. Ice Fang Quaddle becomes much worse. Jace obviously much worse. Sylvan Library. Like, I hope that's what I got. Okay, okay. So I decided to get the Mystic Sanctuary, but what did I put on top? A Jace. No, I can't. I didn't put a Jace on top. I think at this point Jace is the better card. Yep. Was that Mystic Sanctuary in play? I think I may have missed something. I don't remember seeing that Mystic. Maybe it was already there. I don't know. This game's going on so long. I feel like I'm pulling ahead though. What must his last card be? Or he has 2 cards. Or he already drew his card for the turn. Wonder what his last cards are. If he keeps hitting lands, I feel pretty bad. I mean, not bad enough to not win the game, but I'm hoping like he had a blank and then he drew like a card draw spell. That'd be really nice. Man, Narset pulling some weight. Narset turns out pretty good in Legacy. At least in this deck. I haven't really seen the other deck play except for in the Hull Breacher deck. Okay, he dealt with the Narset. That's pretty good. I think, yeah, I mean, there's 5 power in play and he's at 28. So he's got plenty of time. But he knows the Jace is coming. That's a lot of respect for Narset to deal with that over a Jace. Alright, so Jace comes down. Finding Deprive here. Alright, did I already use Deprive? I think I did. I think this is the same game. Yeah, Deprive I see there in the graveyard. What did I get that Mystic Sanctuary for? Was it already there? Teferi is good, but I don't know if that's really what I... Yeah. I guess I can like drop Teferi, take it down, draw Ponder. Alright, we're assembling the lock again. I just bounced Carpet Flowers. I guess that's fine. Carpet Flowers isn't really doing anything at this point, but it does make him like reinvest a mana into it. But it also gives him cards in his hand to put back to Brainstorm, so I'm not sure how I feel about it. Okay, so he has a lot of life, but a 5 power clock it gives me something to knock him down with. And now I've got ways to generate card advantage. And he's just top decking, so we just have to hope he bricks on big spells. Alright, there's the Carpet Flowers, and here comes a blue card. Ponder, not a bad draw. Kind of lets him find what he's got going on the top of his deck. Even little cards like Ponder, Banned and Modern, make just this huge difference in selection and card quality. As you're seeing in these games, like the little things like that are starting to make the difference. Yeah, it's the big payoff spells like these Planeswalkers and stuff that you see make the difference in the game. You don't always see these little differences that these cards make. So what did he find? Looks like he's just staring the board down. Things really changed quickly. Like now the board advantage is on my side. I've got 5 power of creatures over 4 bodies, 2 planeswalkers. I think in terms of mana, we're either on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he has 8. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have the same amount of lands. He has a little bit of a mana advantage, but I have more cards in my hand, so I'm winning on pretty much every front except for life total. Alright, I've got a Brainstorm now. And if I can shuffle the top of my library and find 1 or 2 counterspells, I'll consider this game as a far advantage to me. But I'm just being up 3 or so cards in hand, I also feel pretty advantaged with. Okay, I definitely saw 1 Force of Will, so that's good. Okay, he definitely has Shark Typhoon here. So I can't counter this because it is not a spell. So Shark Typhoon's going to eat something, and he's a big boy. However, I can flash in a Ponder. Not sure what I'm looking for. I guess Source to Plowshares. Yeah, I could look for that. So he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a 6 power. So he would be +1 life if I find Source to Plowshares here, or Snapcaster Mage. Oh, he's only 4. That's right. Ponder again. Look at Teferi go. Instant speed ponders. Is that a Vendilion Click? Vendilion Click seems good. So maybe I just let him eat a card here. Okay, I decided to keep it. He eats the Snapcaster, but now he's got a big power boy. The second Teferi is purely to get rid of his token. Not sure what just happened there, but I'm sure it's fine. So now I have Vendilion click on his draw step. I don't have the Narset, unfortunately, but still pretty strong. Flusterstorm. I would definitely let him keep that. Question is, do I start plussing the Jace? I can see an argument. It's really tempting to just go up on cards, though. I've got the attack boy in the bad zone. All right, all these. Ooh, I found the Narset. Narset will be extra good if I can. Man, it's a turn too late too with the Vendilion click there. Not that Flusterstorm is doing much. All right, so I find the trifecta again, but I'm still missing the Geier reach. But overall, the advantage bar is probably very far in my favor. This cannot be countered by Flusterstorm. Like, it's pretty standard to bring Flusterstorm in against Ponder Brainstorm decks, but if we go to game 3 here, I wouldn't be against cutting mine, you know? Can't counter his Planeswalkers. So maybe Spell Pierce is better? I don't know. Maybe I just want all the counters I can get. It's hard to say. So I shuffle first. I'm not sure what I'm looking for, though. I can't find lands off this. Entreat the Angels. So that's pretty good in terms of just ending the game in an extra 1 or 2 turns. But I go with Force of Negation. Don't blame. Like, just having the next answers for this draw step, this draw step. I might get to a point also where I can actually just start plussing the Jace. Make sure that, okay, I've got this much power in play, and if I can, like, line up my answers and know what his cards are coming, and if he just has a land on top, I can just let him keep it. But he did have a fetch land in play, so I didn't bother with that. I'm not sure. I think I have 3 cards in hand. So a 6 power, he's still on a 3-turn clock, being at 13. So if he finds another fetch land, that would knock a turn down. I think his hand is a land. Or no, it's Flusterstorm. So we know he has Flusterstorm, and he drew... I can't quite tell. He drew Endurance, and he's scooping. So I reveal Force of Will, and I have a Force of Negation and 2 other Glare cards. Whoops. Whoops, whoops, whoops. So what you're seeing there is the semifinal. So I did win. That was Blue-White versus Bant. Now, if you're still watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you like that, and keep an eye out for the semifinals coming out soon.